So we move on to the second presentation today of day 15, session 1. And this is a scientist perspective coming from Sri Kuntimaddi Sadananda ji, a scientist perspective of Shankara's Adhyasa Bhashya. We heard about Adhyasa many times throughout this festival, and our attempt throughout our life is to get rid of this Adhyasa through Abhyasa, and we have heard it many times, and we are getting a scientist perspective today of Shankara's Adhyasa Bhashya. Sri Kuntimaddi Sadananda ji is a material scientist. He worked as head of deformation and fracture section at the Naval Research Laboratory for 30 years and has now retired, working as a consultant helping young scientists. Again, you can see this, Guru Parampara need not happen only in the Vedantic tradition. It can happen in our everyday life as well. He has lived in 6 months in the US and 6 months in India. He has published extensively in science and continue to do so. Also teaches Vedanta on behalf of Chinmaya Mission and Advaita Academy, and his talks are titled towards logic of spirituality. Now this is what happens, some of the younger people will always want to know the logic, but they won't question the logic of all the other things in life. But when it comes to spirituality, all the logic comes to light. So I'm really glad somebody is addressing that aspect. His talks are available on YouTube under Acharya Sadaji, and he also wrote a book on Introduction to Vedanta, which is also available on Amazon under the title. So if Sri Kuntimaddi Sadananda ji is online, you may start the presentation, sir.
Hari Om. Let's start with the prayer. Om Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanura Mardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Tvameva Mata Cha Pitattvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakattvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravidam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Amadeva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Gurudeva Deva. Hari Om. We are celebrating the Shankar Jayanti, and on the eve of that, I'd like to present a short talk on Adi Shankara. And the greatest, one of the missionaries of India. So let's start with the prayer to the Shankaracharya. So this is Shruti Parananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram. So that's essentially the essence of Lord, the Shankaracharya. And one person summarized the whole life of Shankara. It is Ashtavarshe Chaturvedi Dvadase Sarvashastravitu Shodase Krutavan Bhashyam Tvadumse Munirabhyagat. So Ashtavarse Chaturvedi. In 8 years, by 8 he was already studied 4 Vedas, and by 12 he studied all the Shastras, and by 16 he wrote the Bhashyas, and by 32 he finished his mission on this earth. So it is essentially within 32 years, the amount of work that he has accomplished is unbelievable. And we still are trying to write commentaries on the commentaries on the commentaries on the Bhashyas of Adi Shankaracharya. And not only he wrote on Vedanta, but also simultaneously he wrote several beautiful prayers on almost every god that one can imagine. And they remain, starting with Bhajagovindam, Govindam Bhaja Purnamate. So it's really a great tribute that Shankaracharya was really, we are blessed to have his birth and revive the Hinduism on his behalf. So here we just talk about a little bit of what exactly that he propagated. So it's essentially Shankaracharya associated with the Advaita. Advaita is not a monoism, it is actually a absence of duality. Advaita, negation of the duality. So it is a negating the observed duality as not reality. That is the essence. It's not a monoism. And what is involved is what I see or what I experience is the world, which involves continuous the propagation of the things around. At the same time, what remains is that which is substratum. So the whole world is called Jagat. Jagat word itself is charmed. Sanskrit is such a way. Jagat means jayate, gacchate iti jagat. That which is continuously changing is called Jagat. And from the science point, we know that if something changes, there has to be a substratum or substantive which is changeless in the changing things. So if A plus B becomes C plus D, so there is a change of A plus T to B plus D. So we struggle hard in chemistry, but trying to balance the equation. What is the balance equation? The amount of matter here is the amount of the matter there. That's called balancing, because the matter is conserved. So in the whole world is continuously changing, there has to be some substantive which doesn't change. And what is that substantive? And the science cannot tell us, because everything is, according to Einstein, is relative. But here the scriptures talk about there is substantive that doesn't change along with the changes, and that is called the pure existence. And that's how the scripture talks about Sadeva Saumya Idamagramasi Ekameva Advitiyam. What was there before creation? It's the existence alone was there before creation, and that existence is Ekam Eva Advitiyam. That is one. Ekam Eva, that's one, and that is non-dual. So Ekam Eva Advitiyam, all are essentially trying to point out the same meaning. But Shankaracharya defines this Ekam, there are three words, Ekam Eva Advitiyam. So three words are separately used by the scriptures. It means that it intended to say something else. So what is it saying? It is Sajati Vijati Swagata Beda Rahitam. That's how Shankaracharya interprets. So what was there before creation? Sadeva Saumya, existence alone was there. Then what happened after that? It says, watch out the word. Existence alone was there before creation. Now the same existence expressing in different forms, and that's various forms according to scripture. Again in the same Upanishad it says Tataikshatā bahusyam praja eti. It wanted to become many, and it became many. That means one becoming in many is the creation itself. According to thermodynamics, says when there is a transformation of one to something else, or change of state, involves a force. That's called a driving force. And the driving force involves essentially moving from that which is pure existence into varieties of names and forms, and that is what is called a force required, and that force is Maya. Maya is a universal force from which the whole universe is created. And Maya is same as Prakriti. So Mayam, the Prakriti Vidyat. That's what the Svetaswara Upanishad says. So Maya is same as Prakriti, and Prakriti is the Parameshwara Shakti, because it is a force I cannot see. If I move a particle here from some object here, I see only the work is being done, but work has to be done by a force I don't see. But the very fact that the work has been done, I have to deduce that there must be a force which I don't see, but from the result I have to deduce that there must be a force. Same way, when the world is continuously changing, there has to be a force contributing to the change, and that force is called Maya. And how is it defined? Avyaktanamni Paramesha Shakti Anadya Vidya Trigunatmika Para Karyanumeya Sudhyaiva Maya Eya Jagat Sarvam Idam Prasuyate. This is by Shankaracharya in the Viveka Chudamani. He says that Avyaktanamni, you cannot see it and you cannot name it, but it is there, and that because of it is a Parameshwara Shakti. When it is a force has to have a locus, and we define Ishvara is the one who uses the Maya Shakti in terms of creating. And that's how we brought the Ishvara and Maya from pure Brahman, which is pure existence alone, since creation involves Prakritim Purusham Chaiva Vijunadi Ubhavapi. So the creation involves Prakriti and Purusha, a creator and the means of creation, Prakriti. And that Prakriti itself is Maya. The Maya is that which is there, Ya Ma Sa Maya, that which cannot be defined properly, but it is there, that which cannot be seen properly. So it itself, Maya itself is Maya. And so Mayam, the Prakritim Vidya, same as Prakriti itself. And therefore, say, there is no Maya, no one, scripture doesn't say, Daivim Esha Gunamayi Mama Maya Durachaya Mame Vaye Prapajyanti Mayametam Tarantite. So this is Daivim, it's of the nature of divine origin, and you cannot just cross over because it's creation at the Ishvara level, that is Maya. Maya at the individual level becomes avidya, and avidya means ignorance, and it has two components. One is called avarna shakti and called vikshepa shakti. Avarna shakti means it covers the truth, and the vikshepa is projecting something other than what it is there, and that is the contribution from the ignorance itself. And Shankaracharya writes about this error involved in the perception of reality, because I say I am this, that's my problem. Everybody says I am this, I am this, I am this, and people have pages and pages of this. What is this? I am this, that's my biodata. I am this, I am this. But the very fact that I say I am this itself shows the ignorance, fundamental ignorance. Because I am is a subject and this is an object, and I cannot be this, I cannot be an object. Subject cannot be an object. So the very fact that I am saying I am this, it shows that I am ignorant. And therefore, ignorance is very fundamental, and without identifying I am this body, I am this mind, I am this intellect, I cannot even operate or transact in the world. So every transaction involves this duality of I am the subject and this is an object, and this misidentification, what Shankara calls is adhyasa, fundamental error. And he starts his the Bhashya on the Brahma Sutra with Adhyasa Bhashya, which is very famous and which tells you what exactly the fundamental problem involved for human problem involved. In fact, any life problem involved. And the one who is trying to inquire is, how do I solve this problem? Because of that problem, I take myself I am a mortal, I take myself I am an ignorant, and I take myself I am unhappy. So I'm trying to solve a problem that I am mortal, I don't want to be mortal, and I am ignorant, I want to learn everything so that I become knowledgeable, and I'm unhappy, so I want to become happy by acquiring this, and so on. So I go on solving a problem, and scripture says, you are in fact Brahman. I am Atma Brahman, Tattvamasi. You are the totality. You cannot solve a problem where there is no problem to solve. That is a problem. And that has become a problem because trying to solve a problem where there is no problem is not there. So that Shankaracharya points out that this is the reason why that he describes Adhyasa Bhashya. And what is Adhyasa? He defines Adhyasa is Satyanuta Mithunikaranam Adhyasam, where mixing of a truth and untruth together, half and half baked, and together to form a unitary experience. And that is what essentially Adhyasa means. That means when I say I am this, so I am mixing, I am part is right, this part is wrong, I am mixing these two as a unitary, I am this. And he gives an example of a rope snake example that everybody is familiar. As I am walking through, suddenly I saw a 5 feet long and coiled on the alley, and people say a lot of snakes there, and when I stepped on it, it was soft, so I couldn't see completely because it's not too dark or too bright, and therefore only few attributes of the object I could see, and by best on that I decided it may be rope or it may be snake, but I'm afraid of snakes, and for security reasons I think I say this is a snake. So where did the snake come from? From previous samskara that I know how the snake is, either watching a movie or I have seen real snake also, and that I am projecting because there is a similarity between the rope and the snake. I am not projecting an elephant there. So there is a sadrishyam. Some similarity is there, and it's not complete ignorance because I see something, but so there is part is truth, only snake part is wrong. So when I put a shed light on it, there is now a rope. So snake part is removed by rope, and there is part still remain. So satyam part still remain. That is called the samanya jnanam, and vishesha jnanam is the rope. The snake is replaced by the rope. Not the snake is replaced by rope, but in my vision, I saw it as a snake. Now I know it is actually rope. Now how is this applicable to my problem? It says I am this. So what is that I am superimposing? Superimposing that this part on I am part, number one, that means the anatma on atma, and also atma on anatma. Both superimpositions are occurring when I say I am a conscious entity. As what? I am as this body. I am a existent entity as this body only. So I am superimposing the existent consciousness of the I am part on the body. Same way when I say this body is I am a conscious entity. When the body says I am conscious entity, so I am superimposing on using the body the consciousness, identifying with the consciousness. So it is mutual superimposition of Satyam and Rutam together, and all my life of samsara is because of this problem. Because when I identify myself with the anatma as atma, the problems of anatma has become my problems, and I am trying to solve a problem where there is no problem. So all my life, not only life after life after life, what I am searching for? I am not searching for existence. I am not searching for consciousness. I am searching for only one. So Sat and Chit I know, but I do not know that I am Ananda Swarupa also. So the Anandam is coming from my own self. Any Anandam, any happiness doesn't come from an object. So Shankaracharya defines that you know half of it, in fact 2/3 of it. I know Sat and Chit. Only Ananda part is not there. And I am trying to solve that problem. And Anandam is Anantameva Anandam. Infinite alone is Anandam. That means unless I gain infinite things, I won't be really Ananda. So in the Taittiriya Upanishad, there is a scale of Ananda, happiness. Happiness, I am this happy, that way. So one unit of happiness is one who owns the whole universe, whole world, and young enough to digest anything he eats, and his happiness is one unit. And there is another guy who is 100 times more happy than this. He says Gandharvananda, Devananda, like that. There are 20, the steps is around 13 steps or 26. The one by the Brahmaji, he is 10 to the power of 26 times the Ananda of one unit. But he is not full happy also. What's full happy? Infinite alone is happiness, and one cannot reach infinity. So, but I want to become infinite because I want to gain happiness, and unless I gain happiness, I cannot solve my problem. And I cannot remain also without solving a problem. This is the struggle of every human being, and only way to solve the problem is to recognize that I am already Brahman, Tattvamasi, and Shankaracharya provides the problem involved in the adhyasa error is due to superimposing something other than yourself or about yourself. And how do I gain myself then? I cannot get infinity. I cannot see infinity. I cannot perceive. Na vak gacchati na manaha. And yato vacho nivattante aprapya manasa saha. So no word can reach there, no description even, because it's infinite. Infinite is also not a description. It says it's not finite. And so because all descriptions fall down. But that is the truth though. So how do I recognize that? By rejecting what I am not, only way I had to establish who I am. So I am not this, I am not this, neti, neti, neti. Neti means not this. Starting from everything else, plus I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am not the intellect. And I am that because of which the mind is functioning, body is functioning, and the intellect is functioning. But how do I do this? Who is doing it? That's where the problem is. The problem is it is the mind that has to do it, saying that I am not the mind. So the thought has to come cognitively. I have to use it to recognize that I am beyond that mind itself. And that mind has to recognize that through cognitively only, through the means of knowledge. And that is how the self-realization involves. And that is scriptures quotes, in fact, yan manasa na manute yenahur manomatam tadeva brahma tvam viddhi nedam nididam upasate yachachusha na pasyati yena chachum sivasyati tadeva brahma tvam viddhi nedam nididam upasate. That eyes cannot see, that because of which eyes can see, that which mind cannot think, that because of which mind can think, that alone is Brahman, not this that you worship. So it takes beyond all that to recognize that which is beyond. So Shankaracharya provides Adhyasa Bhashya to recognize that truth that is beyond any means of knowledge itself. And to arrive at, one has to have a prepared mind. So it discusses Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga and all that. So Shankaracharya in fact says this, the moksha sadhana samagyam bhakti reva gariyasi. Of all the paths, bhakti is the highest. As I say, I thought the knowledge is the highest. Here it says the bhakti is higher. But what is bhakti? So swarupa anusandhanam bhakti chabhidiyate. Contemplation on your own nature is itself is a bhakti. So bhakti involves completely commitment to that goal. That is the bhakti. And that involves inquiring after your own true nature itself is bhakti also. And Shankara defines all that and says that has to be because manushyatvam, mumukshutvam, mahapurusha samsrayam, durlabham trayame vaitadu daivanugraha hetukam. Is also by Shankara in the Vivekaswami. Says to be born as a human being, manushyatvam, mumukshutvam, desire to get liberated, and also appropriate teacher for us to recognize the truth is due to Daivanugraha hetukam. So Ishvaranugrahat eva pumsam advaita vasana. Even to get advaita vasana, only by the grace of Ishvara that one get into. This is from the I forgot the truth. So Shankaracharya emphasizes the Adhyasa Bhashya and then talks about so Atato Brahma Jignasa. So with that, says the beauty of that, he propagated from one end of the country to other end. At the country, there is no vehicles and all that, but with determination that he did it, and we are grateful and to celebrate that. It's with our only way to celebrate is to understand what Shankara has done and to propagate that to the next generation. With that, I stop. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Visishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
Thank you so much, sir. That was a very animated video message and lecture by a scientist, Sri Kuntimaddi Sadananda ji. Extremely good, because he laid down why try to solve a problem when there is no problem. I think that itself can be something for all of us to think about. That we might think there is a problem. A lot of times he just said there is none. So just knowing that alone can sort of remove the adhyasa and move us towards the Jivan Mukti state. Thank you once again. That was wonderful. So we are now at the conclusion of the day 15 session number 1, and the next session number 2, will happen on Tuesday, the 12th of May at 6:30 p.m. IST. That would be 6 a.m. PST and 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on the East Coast. We again have one live lecture and one video presentation. The live lecture is pretty interesting, which is really the core of this festival, which is Adi Shankara relevant today? I mean, we are doing this festival because of that incredible relevance, but we will hear that question being answered by one more scholar, Sri Jayakumar Ammangudi, followed by a video presentation by Srimati Pratima Sagar, Kala Mandalam, Framing Time in Timelessness. Both sound to be extremely wonderful topics. So please join us again in about 11 and a half hours. And please tell your friends and your family. And thank you all for making this festival such a huge success with participation from all over the world. Thank you once again. Namaste.